everybody today. It's great to have you here. I'm thrilled to be talking to one of my friends and one of the smarty smarts of technology in our industry, Shantanu Barua. He's the CTO of the MLS and VestaPlus, has done some terrific work for MLS customers around the country. So we're going to hear all about him today. So thank you. Welcome, Shantanu. Great to have you.
Well, thank you, Marilyn. It's my pleasure to be here with you today.
So why don't we just start with, tell us a little bit about your background. I know one day you told me all about what you've done prior to being in this world, and it was fascinating. So just give us your background in technology and leadership.
Sure, yeah. My background is in technology. I have a background in electrical engineering and computer science, and I graduated out of college in Houston, and then I got into kind of an engineering consulting industry. This was in the early days of telecom, and I consider myself a pioneer of sorts. I was part of the first two-way paging network. I worked for the company that was creating the two-way pager. But quite soon, right after that, there was this internet boom that came along, and then I got sucked into consulting. I was working for a big consulting firm and got involved in the internet boom. Did a lot of internet projects across the country. And then in about the 2000, with the tech boom having busted, little did I know, I made the move into another bubble, which was the real estate industry. So I got into the mortgage banking, and I worked for Countrywide. I worked for Countrywide, and I worked there for almost 6 years. And then I kind of saw the writing on the wall when we were doing certain things, which kind of was very dubious at that time. And I thought, it was time to move on. And that's when I moved into the real estate here at the MLS. And ever since, been doing, liking what I've been doing here. And I've been here ever since then.
And so when did you join the organization?
I joined in 2006. That's when I joined. So it's been a long time.
That's wonderful.
Almost 20 years.
So jumping over to the company you work for now, tell us about about your company VestaPlus and the MLS, and what's your leadership role within the group?
Yeah, I work for, as you mentioned, VestaPlus. VestaPlus is a MLS real estate platform, where it's a comprehensive platform. It creates software in all facets of the MLS industry. We are a wholly owned subsidiary of the MLS.com, or the combined LA Westside MLS. And I am the Chief Technology Officer here at VestaPlus and the MLS.
Awesome. So how long has VestaPlus been around? And I know the MLS built its software long. How long have you been at the game of having your own proprietary software, not licensing it from other third parties?
Yeah. The MLS has been here for a long time. It's been, way before even when I joined, since the early 2000s. But from the get-go, our CEO being very, having the foresight that she thought that the best way to serve the members the only way to serve the members is to be able to create and control the software that we provide to its members. And even before I joined the organization, we already had our own software. And then ever since I joined in 2006, we started enhancing the software and incorporating new features and so on and so forth. And we kind of solidified the MLS platform that we had built. And then we felt that around 2018 or so, we felt that the solution, the platform that we created had matured enough, and by that time we had started providing services to some of the other MLSs around California, such as the Greater Palm Springs Association of Realtors and the Imperial County Association of Realtors. And they were also very satisfied with what the product that we had done. And so on around 2018, we decided to create the VestaPlus platform. So in 2018, we took our software and we created the VestaPlus software platform.
Awesome. Okay. So, I think you've kind of answered what inspired you to do that, but what do you think are the advantages of having the ability to build your own software, relative to those that are kind of, at the mercy, if you will, of some of the vendors that they might be working with? Why do you
Sure.
feel like it's better for you? Because there used to be a lot more MLSs that built their own software and they've dialed way back. There's very few left. So I'd love to know why you guys have stayed that course.
Yeah, that we felt, or our CEO Annie felt that that MLS is very local in that sense. It needs to be modular. It needs to be highly customizable, right? It needs to fit the needs, which is very specific to the area, or the realtors that we serve. So, and every area and our region has its own needs and wants, the way they use technology, the way they want to kind of conduct business, and what additional features or functionalities that are needed. So we felt that, if we control those software, those aspects, if we were able to, we needed to enhance or change or, expand what the software did based on the needs of our members or its members. So that was one of the reasons why we felt that the only way we could do that is if we wrote down our software, where we would work alongside our members. We would create a software that was created by the agents for the agents. And that's kind of the mantra that we have always followed. We've kind of always listened to what our agents say. We've always tried to kind of, we have our ears on the ground for the new technology, the new advances that are happening. But at the same time, we kind of use those advances or technology based on the needs of our agents. So we felt, and that's what we believe in, to create the software, which is very specific, which is highly customizable, and pushing the envelope of technology, but yet meeting the needs of our agents.
So actually, how do you get their opinions into the system, into the process? I'd love to hear how you do that.
Yeah, no. Software development has many, methodologies that people use to explore. We use an agile methodology, which involves creating software iteratively and bringing into our members at the soonest possible life cycle. And this process starts with requirements or needs, which often come through surveys or questionnaires that we ask our members, and features that they may be requesting. Once set number of requirements is gathered, the software specification process starts with a focus group meetings. So we have typically once every other month, we have a focus group meeting, to which we bring new projects that we are working on, or projects that we have been working on for some time, so that we can kind of discuss the requirements. We can showcase, we show them what we have done, we take their feedback, and we incorporate them in the product development cycle. So in this way, we have the advantage of all our members to be able to participate and create the software that we build for them. And, we believe, our realtors here in Southern California are a great representation of what the whole, realtors across the whole United States may use. They are very, open to new ideas. They are always pushing the envelope as what they see around in other technology that is being evolving, and trying to kind of challenge us to see how we can incorporate those technologies, those ideas into the products that they use. And, so with an open-minded, membership that we have, there is no dearth of new ideas. We've always, getting many new ideas, and a lot of our product features come straight from our agents that we have built in.
And I think you're being humble too. You work with the realtors that are on shows like Selling Sunset. You work with the very discerning, very excellence driven, right? They do high quality, high value properties. So their demands are significant, right?
Yeah,
You can satisfy them. I think the rest of the country is easy because those are, they've got very high powered clients as well that they've got to support. So I think it's great that you sort of built a luxury MLS system, not that it's only for luxury, but it's luxury quality MLS.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is where the biggest dollars are exchanged when, in real estate, like you said, Selling Sunset or any of all those shows are, most of them are our members in our MLS.
And your listings, which is so neat.
Yeah.
Like I saw that one on TV yesterday. That's pretty cool. So fun. Okay. So let's talk about your kind of where you are in the environment, right? So there's a lot of MLS systems specifically that have been around a long time, right?
Yeah.
And there's people that are, comfortable and loyal to them, but they were built literally some of them in the 90s, right? A long time ago, even before the year 2000. What advantages do you think you have because you're building on things that are brand new, like in the last 2, 3 years, like brand new platforms? How does that help you, do you think, be able to solve the needs of what your customers are looking for?
No, I think, technology is one of those fields. It's as a software engineer, it's a curse and a boon at the same time. It's a curse because you have to be constantly evolving, learning your new ideas. You have to be brushing up on your, skill sets, right? But that is also the thrill. The thrill is in that the continuous learning that we go through, as engineers. That's what, strive us to continue to improve, right? And what better way if we can do that to the benefit of our members or the products that we create. So, it's the mentality of the company that I work for. Yeah? It starts with our CEO. He's always, pushing us, to encouraging us to approach the new technology, to look at the new, find new solutions, new ways to do things. And we take the lead from, her lead, and we follow her lead on that, right? And we try and experiment with new technologies. We were one of the first companies to incorporate Elasticsearch into an MLS-based system. We were one of the early adopters of the RISO standards, and we continue to be, we've always felt abiding and following and creating software based on the RISO standards would give us the greatest flexibility. And I'm very proud of the fact that we are one of the first organization in the entire United States, or one of the very few to be RISO 2.0 data dictionary compliant. And it's a testament to, like I said, the culture that we have within our company, where we strive to we feel that if we are ahead of the curve, if we are trying out, it is difficult to try new technology all the time, but if we try, then we can also build better products, and we can approach and look at the challenges and have the experience when as the technology matures, we would be able to create more mature or sophisticated software out of it.
So I guess I should ask you one, because it's kind of hard not to talk about this when we talk about technology these days. How are you using AI, or do you see where that might take you in the future?
Sure. Yeah. AI, I think like we see, it has a really great applications. We're using AI in many of the different forms that it presents to us. So we have a compliance platform called Checkmate. So we are using AI, the computer vision aspects of it, to be able to detect compliance violations in listing photos that are there for MLSs. So that's one of the aspects that we are using AI to identify, compliance violations that may be there on listings. Then within our own MLSs, we are using AI to create articles or knowledge base for our agents. So what we do is, we have a very active help desk who are constantly helping, and they're always rated really high on how they help our members. So what we realized was that the conversations that they have with our members could be a treasure trove of how-to articles that we can create in our knowledge base and present them to our members to learn on offline. So what we have done is we have the ability to transcribe the conversation that our help desk analysts do with our members, and we have fed that through AI into a searchable data dictionary, so that whenever there are questions which they have answered, we kind of present them in form of articles. That's another way that we are trying to do. We are looking into how we can generate and pre-populate listings photos, or based from photos. So those are some of the ways that we are trying to use AI. And we have some chatbots that we are using, which are also using our knowledge base, which has been created using AI.
Mm-hmm. One thing I meant to go back to, can you explain what Elasticsearch is? It's not a rubber band. What does that mean, and how does it help an agent?
Yeah, so what happened a few years ago also, as databases became larger and larger, right? Queries, even though SQL, which is the language in which databases are stored, or is one of the technologies in which database is stored. It does a lot of things very good to store large databases, but one of the things is that it was challenged with is the nature or the speed at which the data was searched and presented. So Elasticsearch is a form of an index search engine, which stores data in a slightly different format than a SQL database does. And it enables searching of data in a much faster way. So that's one of the ways that we conduct the search within our MLS or within the VestaPlus platform. Whenever our searches are done within our VestaPlus platform, those are done against an Elasticsearch repository rather than SQL.
And it kind of makes it like I can ask it in more like real English, right? I can ask it not.
The queries are.
I could ask it like a regular question, like I would ask a human, and it can still answer it, right?
Yeah, it's slightly different than SQL. Yes, but the great advantages is it can be replicated across in several features, and the searches are a lot faster.
Love it. Okay, good. Okay, so one of the things that I think is neat about what I've seen that you guys have done is that you built it's not just like, I think a lot of MLSs today buy MLS and they buy public records and they buy showing appointment software, then they buy compliance software. They buy them as separate individual things, and they're made from different companies. They don't necessarily connect with one another. Tell us about your idea of how you built this whole suite of tools and why that's an advantage, you think, relative to the way that other companies work today.
Yeah. Although we started, the core of every MLS platform does start with a few of the core MLS modules, such as listing input, listing search, etc. But that is never enough. Every MLS needs other ancillary products, such be it the showing platform, or be it a statistical analytical tool, or a compliance module, or AMS software. So our idea was we're not just an MLS, we are also a software company. if we are a software company, we should not be just, we should be able to create all kinds of software, creating a showing platform was just natural progression for us. It is one of those things. We didn't think of ourselves as, hey, just because we create MLS software doesn't mean that's the only thing that we can do. It's a problem, it's a challenge, it's still a software at the end of the day, and we still have needs, we still have the same users. It needs to have input from our agents, our input, and that was exactly how it was. Our agents presented the idea. They were not satisfied with the software that they were using. They wanted something that was more intuitive, something that was more, pleasing to the eye, so to speak. And so they requested us to create that software. And that was what motivated us to create Showings Plus, our showing platform. It's one of those things, and that's how we kind of started doing that. Again, the same reason, we as an MLS also had our own compliance team. So they were using, another compliance software, and they felt that there were certain enhancements that were needed. Those enhancements were not being, not met at the right, in a timely fashion, and they felt they needed the software to be kind of created in the way that they worked. And so they said, hey, how can we create or help, give them a software that would make their life a lot easier. And that was the genesis of our Checkmate software, where it became, a product that we now have many MLSs across the country using, and so that's why we feel that, these are products that came from our own needs, and we are using it. Our members use it, our agents use it, our staff uses it, and we've kind of felt that, if the product can be useful to us, and I am sure it can be useful for other members, and I think that has been proven beyond a doubt that is the case.
So I love that a lot of these things were born out of a request, right? Exactly what you said up front, that we build things that our customers want and build things that our staff needs. And that's exactly how these things were born, which is really neat. And because they're all built on, I'm assuming this, and again, I'm no technologist, but I assume they're kind of built on a platform. So does data like go back and forth between these things more easily than it might be if you bought different tools from different companies? Or is there an advantage that it was all built under one hand, so to
Yeah.
speak?
Yeah, absolutely. The software, there is a certain amount of synergy across the different products, right? So they are built on the same software platform or framework that we ourselves have developed. So there is a certain amount of, synergy between the products. So they talk really well with one another. We always strive to, we have been doing it for a long time. It's an object-oriented technology. That's what you say, basically, which is a modular technology which lends itself easily to, modifications, enhancements, and you can, plug and play a lot of the products. Yeah, and they work really well. And, so that's the idea of this kind of software development, right? It is not the legacy way of doing things, which we call that, but here, the object-oriented methodology that we use to create the software lends itself very easily for enhancement, changing, which is what we believe. Software needs to be evolving every time, every few years or so. We are constantly having to almost rewrite all our software. We want to do that in a way which is consistent without creating too much, issues or enhancements.
Yeah, actually, that you walked right into the next question I had for you. So I hear a lot from my MLS customers that they may ask their technology providers for an enhancement or a change or a new feature or a whole new concept. And many times, because those companies are working, I don't know why exactly, I won't surmise as to why. It takes months, years, sometimes they never get an answer, sometimes they never get what they need. Um, it sounds like with that modern system, it might be easier. So if one of your customers comes to you and says that they need a change, like, did your platform, do you think, make it easier for you to answer their question and, get them what they're looking for pretty quickly?
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, the methodology that we use, we try to break down the product in iterative forms. We work in an agile methodology. We try to kind of get the requirements, and then we work in 2 week sprints. We try to develop the product in every 2 weeks or so, where
Mhm.
we kind of create a version of the product where we can test it within in-house, or in those successive iterations of 2 weeks, we build the final product. And in this way, we are able to present to our clients or customers the product in the form, whether it is be early on in the beta form as soon as we can, and then iterate through to the final form as soon as possible. So we believe that, if we work in this fashion or this methodology, it enables us to create the product to their needs and the earliest form. And even if it is, whether it is a big installation for Checkmate that we are doing for an MLS, or it could be a feature enhancement of one of the products that we are doing, this is the same methodology that we use. So within a couple of weeks or even, sooner, we can have a feature request done, because we believe that is there. And we believe in creating a version of the product and giving it for testing to the customer as soon as possible. And we believe in this iteration enables us to kind of create the product better.
So, so you're asking not only end users to give you input early on, you're asking your fellow MLS customers, if they have a suggestion, you're showing that they're helping you build it
Yes,
on it
because
as well.
yeah.
That's great. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of our requests that as we are enhancing on our Checkmate product, which is used by many of our MLS peer organizations, they come up with enhancements, and then, as long as the product meets a certain minimum viable, feature, we are able to release that to them based on their approval, and then we can iterate and improve on the features. In this way, we kind of tend to get the right product exactly how the customer needs in the shortest possible time.
That's amazing. So, you mentioned that you've built a lot of products that kind of were born from a request or a suggestion. Um, and so now you've got 5 or 6 products, I think, right, within your suite, something
Yeah.
like that. If someone wants to work with you, can they buy one of those things individually, or do they have to kind of buy the whole program from you?
No, we make it, we make it available to the needs of our clients. If they want the full suite, they can get the full suite. Or if they want only the mobile app, we make the mobile app. If they only need a statistical module, then we have our Market Snap product. And if they want a showing platform, we have our Showings Plus platform. If
Mhm.
they are in the need for a compliance tool, that's where the Checkmate comes in. And then we have VestaPlus, which is the full MLS suite.
So
And
yeah,
and,
okay, I'm sorry.
and one of our clients is an MLS that uses us as one of its uh, MLS platform. So it is one of those trends nowadays, as you are very well aware, I'm sure, where they provide multiple choices of MLS platform for their agents. And we are proud to be one of those platforms, and we are happy to kind of be one of those options. And we help them to kind of work together with the other MLS peers that we have.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. There's lots of schools of thought on that. Some people believe, I think I probably in the camp of, we don't just get one application of anything in any other parts of our lives. So why do we only get one MLS system, right? What do you think are if someone has one MLS system, well, let me take a step back for a second. It's very difficult times to get all of the customers, all of the users to say, okay, I'm going to drop whatever this old one is, and I'm going to get this new one, right? So I think that's sometimes, but what do you think the advantages are of somebody thinking about offering, more than one solution
Yeah,
versus just having that one solution over time? What do you think the
yeah.
differences are?
I think the MLS industry is very diverse, not only by the members, the realtors themselves, there are some who are very young getting in, into the business. They like a certain type of software. They may be more mobile savvy or things. And then there are some of the ones who are more experienced. They like to do continue to do the way they have always been doing, and they have been very successful in doing, and who are we to kind of tell them which is the better software? It is the software that, helps them to do their work in the best possible way, and that's what it should be. And I think that is also the mindset why the different MLSs decide to try out different types of software, the software which may be have the newer look, more intuitive than user interface maybe, but on the other hand, they want to continue to remain with the stable software that they have, that has served them well for so many years. I think that's why MLSs go and try out different platforms, because I feel they are seeing that changing that demographics of young versus experienced users, and also trying out new technology is always you need to be a little bit brave and see. And so this is again another reason I think and that they try out. But regardless of what the software platforms are, there is a lot of work that needs to happen besides within the platforms themselves. There has to be a consistency of data, which is there within the data, where even though you are inputting in two different platforms, the data needs to be able to talk to one another, very fluidly. There needs to be a lot of hard work that all the vendors, or both the vendors or multiple vendors, have to do to make sure that the data moves seamlessly from one into another, or get disseminated across to other outlets or brokerages, and et cetera, et cetera. So as long as the MLSs are aware of all of those things, I think they have the greater flexibility with the different platforms that they can have, and have the greatest benefit of the users.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I've thought a lot about this, about where it makes sense. When you think about an MLS organization, its absolute most important tool by far is the MLS system.
Mhm.
So to give people to invest a little more there and give people that choice with the thing that's the most important for the organization, it probably makes sense. And I've talked to some agents that tell me they love having more than one because they might love the CMA on one and the search on another. And so they don't even think of it as two separate platforms. It's like, well, this is the one I prefer for this, and this is the one I prefer for that. And so they end up using both of them.
Yeah,
The MLS comes out, feeling more relevant and valuable to them because they feel like it's different pieces work for them in different ways. And like you said, the fact that all the data is the same regardless, that's critical.
yes,
That's not an easy task. So having things like you've done with the RISO standards, that probably helps you, I would guess, make that process go more easily.
yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, good. So here's a completely different topic here for a second, but
Sure.
the organization we've all seen recently, not an MLS system, but sort of someone in the MLS space, a big company go out of business and then sell off for pennies on the dollar from what they were originally worth,
Mhm.
sadly. Um, what do you guys do at VestaPlus to make sure you don't become one of those statistics that you stay
Yeah.
profitable?
I think the most critical aspect of creating a viable software is to ensure that you are listening to your agents. You are ensuring that the features, the stability, the functionality, of your product is always there. And one of the things, like anything else, software needs to be able to adapt. You know, there are new things, new regulations. MLS rules are changing. You know, we need to create a software that meets the needs of our agent, not that our agents have to learn the software to do their work. The software needs to be intuitive enough that, you know, that it becomes natural and very intuitively used and perform and excel in their job. Our job is to make the realtors as successful as they can be without having to learn the software. And I believe, you know, as long as the software is able to do that and continuously do that, right?
Mhm.
I think that's when the software can be relevant, you know.
That makes sense. And I know, you know, Annie, the CEO, who if you haven't met her, you definitely need to. She's a really interesting woman. And Shantanu are both very good operators. They're not they're not spending money just because it's the fun thing to do. Right? You're spending your money wisely, and that's why the software's so good, but it's also being done profitably, which is
Yeah,
great.
no, thank you.
Okay. Um, so here's just a different question as sort of an MLS person, you know, and as the technology leader of that company. How often do you think MLSs should be looking at other software, even if they have no intention of leaving or adding, or what do you think is best practices for them in terms of just taking a look at what's out there?
No, I think, you know, like I had mentioned earlier on, technology changes, you know, and so I would say in a cycle of 3 years or so, I would think, you know, every 3 years or so, technology changes very, dramatically and drastically. So at least I would say in a 3 year cycle or so, people in the MLS industry should be looking out for what is out there. What are some of the different products which have been created? What are some of the ways products which are different than others? You know, how well are they adopting to the new technology? You know, so I feel 3 years, in my opinion, would be a, good time for every MLS to kind of look into, or at least work with their vendors to see what if there is a newer version of the product that they are there, or actually challenge them to create new ideas or new products, right?
That sounds
Um,
great. So about every 3 years, you should
yeah,
kind of
I
look,
think,
put your
yeah,
head up and look around, see what's going on. I think
yeah.
that's good advice. Um, so I hear sometimes that there are other MLSs, and actually there are several MLSs. Some are investing money and doing a whole lot of things that are building their own suite of tools or, you know, selected tools. What's advice do you have for any MLS that might be thinking about trying to kind of do what you're doing and building their own software?
Uh, yeah, building the software obviously is not an easy endeavor. You know, as long as you have the infrastructure and the determination to be able to do that, I think it's a great experience, because it enables, and especially for an MLS or an entity that wants to create that, this is really the best of the times. You know, it is one of those times where, you know, there is a plethora of new technology out there. There is, very great interest in new technology, and, you know, there's a lot of research which is going on. New product ideas are out there. We have a great a standards organization where RISO is defining ways to kind of unify how data is exchanged, especially in our prop tech industry. So with this is one of the great times to be involved with technology, whether you are creating your own software that can be a product such as our VestaPlus platform, or to be involved in a small way, in any small way, to kind of address the needs of your MLS in any way, in a smaller scale also. This
Mhm.
is kind of the best of the time, because there are so many easily available free software modules, where you can start using them to create very powerful software for your members and
Mhm.
users.
So one final question for you. As I think, you know, you've explained to us so well, this was born out of a really strong MLS organization that wanted to build its own software so that it could do the great thing for its own customers. And now you're working with many great organizations around the country, maybe even in North America, I'm not sure, but I know for sure around the country. How do you make sure that you can balance the needs of what your local market's asking you for versus something that one of your other customers might be asking you for?
Yeah, so it is our experience. Like for instance, if I can talk about our Checkmate compliance tool, every MLS across the whole country, have a variation of rules. Every MLS have their own rules, but they are, very surprisingly or not surprisingly, they're very similar in many aspects. So when you are building a software, it is, despite all what you say, we are still doing the same function, buying, inputting, listing. So there is a lot of uniformity in what we are doing. When you create the software, as long as it can be easily modified or adapt to the location that you may be, and you create rules which can be easily configured, or, that's a software that can work, so that's how I think that is the secret, where you don't have a massive, you write a modular software that is easily adaptable to this specific region. And then there is, like I said, there is a certain amount of commonality that exists all MLSs. There are different rules, but those rules are very, very similar in many senses, right? Not just in compliance, be it the listing input, everybody has to have certain required fields, certain fields you want to check for. The business rules may be slightly different, but it is the same, right, in many sense. So despite the different diversity of MLSs, there is a certain underlying commonality that exists. And so, building software is in that sense, building to the common cause, I would say.
Gotcha. What I love what you said too, that it's you're building it to make it easy to update. So if someone does have some unique need,
Yes.
it's not, you've built it to be, I kind of think of it like a basketball player that's on their toes all the time. Like you can make a pass real quick if you need to, if someone needs that. It's not like old software was sort of like, I kind of think of it like there was a stone and there were people like chipping away
Yeah.
at it with
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
This stuff's a lot more movable, flexible, easy to deal with, and the newer and fresher and like your software is, it's just easier to make it move around and do things
Yeah.
because
It's a lot more modular, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Anything else you want to share with the audience to tell us about, what you do and how VestaPlus is, a fun company to work for? Anything else?
No, I think it's a great company to work for. Like I said, we like to push the envelope, and that's what we get. And we're always trying to create new software, trying to enhance our software. We have a great group of engineers that work for us, and our team, is very young and dynamic. And we have a great leader. So I feel it's the best environment to create software. And like I said, these are the best of the times. There is a lot of things happening around the industry, in the software world, as well as in our real estate prop tech world, that this is the right industry to be in, to be creating very good and creative software.
I love it. Thank you so much, Shantanu. It's always fun to talk to you, and I always learn something. You're so smart. You say words that I think I mostly understand, but I just love the perspective that you have, that you're focused on what, at the end user, what they really need, and that you build a platform that's flexible enough to address those needs as they come, because we know the market can change in 10 seconds, the needs can change, the whole world can change. So I appreciate what you do there, and keep going. It's awesome.
Thank you, Marilyn. It was a pleasure. You made this a lot easier for me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.